Hi, this is Lara from Elliott Wave Stock Market with your twice weekly Apple analysis. I'm going to do this analysis just a little bit differently, although I'm not going to take as long as I did last week for this. I'm going to show you how I use motive wave while I do the analysis. So here's my wave count from last analysis on the daily chart. And I'm still expecting that we've started a third wave of a third wave, so my targets are going to be unchanged, the wave count remains valid, and I expect that we're finding some resistance just below the edge of this parallel channel. This channel I've drawn here is an acceleration channel. I've drawn it from the start of the first wave to the end of the second, and placed a parallel copy on the end of the first wave. If we do indeed have a third wave at intermediate degree within a third wave at primary degree, we should see the lower edge of this channel clearly breached with some strong downwards movement. So I'd be expecting to see that, and if we do see that, I'd be much more confident in these targets. For now, if we get movement below this low, 385.1, then I'll have much more confidence in these targets in the short term. I'm going to leave the invalidation point up here because I think we may have finished or maybe not finished a second wave correction. That's what I need to figure out today for the hourly chart. So that's my daily chart. I'll save that. Let's have a look at the hourly, and I do a new analysis for each different time frame. I'll show you why when we get down to the 5-minute chart. So this is where I ended it last time. My concern now is this downwards movement of the last few hours a 3 or a 5? If we have an end to the second wave correction, then the next wave down should be an impulse. It could be if this is a 3, we may see a leading diagonal unfolding, but I'd expect to most likely not see that to start the third wave. More likely, if this is a 5, I'll be more confident that we have had an end to the second wave. First of all, I just want to play around with this little channel I've drawn around this double zigzag. I want to draw it in the most conservative way possible and see if there's still a channel breach, because that's our first indicator. I don't like that. Let's try redrawing the lower trend line from here and pull it down. Now let's pull this upper one down to sit on the W and the A. Okay. Well, that's about as conservative as I can draw it, and it's still clearly breached. So I'm expecting we do have a channel breach. It's most likely the second wave is over. I'm not going to look at the subdivisions in here again. I've gone over that on the 5-minute chart. This is a double zigzag. What I want to know now is this downwards movement a 3 or a 5? Let's have a look. I'm going to save that hourly chart and let's create a new analysis. I'll call it 5-minute. Base it on the hourly. Let's delete all these elements because when I go down to a lower time frame, if I leave them there, they'll squish the chart up. And let's go down to the 5-minute time frame on this. I'll squish that in so I can see a bit more. The reason why that's all squished up at the top is we've got this 3 label down here. Let's drag that over to the right, leave that out of the way. Okay, that's better. Okay, let's snap the end of the 2 in there. Now I've moved it on the 5-minute chart. If we go back to the hourly chart, it won't be sitting right. So because I'm publishing these charts and other people need to know exactly where my waves begin and end, I don't want to do my 5-minute analysis on the hourly chart. Let's see if we could have a 5 down here. If this is your first wave. Okay, well the first thing that's wrong there is I don't think that second wave is over because this upwards movement looks very much like a 5-wave impulse. So let's drag that over. I don't think that's over. Let's decompose this. Probably an impulse. It certainly doesn't look like a diagonal. Okay, I don't think that's over there. I think if we have the third wave and fourth wave, they're down here. This looks most likely to have an extended third wave, and that's the most common, so let's put that on the price high. That looks like a pretty good zigzag there for the second wave. The fourth wave might be a double. I'd have to look at that on a lower time frame, but I'm most concerned about the middle of the third wave. Let's just check if there's no overlap here. That looks fine. Okay. Let's have a look at the middle of this third wave. How is that going to subdivide? I think we can see the middle of the impulse in there. Okay. I think we may have it in here. Let's have a look. Okay. Now within this set we've got a zigzag here. What's this? Some kind of flash. Let's just check the price extreme. Nope, there's an overlap there. This is 4 for 186 and this is 4 for 195. Okay, that doesn't work. Let's have a look at how that subdivides on the 1 minute chart. Okay. That doesn't look right. I think that's probably ABC. So I think that might be the source of the problem. Okay. Let's delete that. Let's move this here. And just see, does this subdivide as I expect into a 5 wave impulse? No, it doesn't look like a zigzag, an ending diagonal either. Yeah, there's an overlap there, so that doesn't work. Okay, well, let's leave that for now. I think we'd probably have this here. Looks better. Or possibly even here, although then the fourth wave looks out of proportion, but this is a 1 minute chart. I think this probably ended here, and we probably have a nice impulse in there. Now we have a complicated fourth wave correction, which may actually have ended here or here. Probably here, actually, in some kind of double flash sideways moving. Okay, possibly. What if this could be an ending diagonal? It doesn't really look like it. Let's see how those wavelengths work. 3 is longer than 1, 5 is longer than 1 but not 3, and 4 is longer than 2 but 3 is the longest. How do the trend lines work? Okay, that looks alright. I swear I see diagonals where the third wave is still the longest. The subdivisions look most likely to be zigzags, particularly that fifth wave rather than an impulse. I can't go down any lower than 1 minute though. Okay, let's go back to 5 minutes. Oh, okay, that actually has a fairly nice proportional look. Let's have a look and see if there are any Fibonacci ratios here. I'm just going to expand this out so I can see those numbers a bit more clearly. So this is 6.17 long, 7.67 and 5.68. Well, 5 and 1 are reasonable, well, close enough to equality. There's a less than 10% variation. What about within the third wave, right in this impulse? Well, 1 and 5 again close to equality. And 3 doesn't have a ratio to 1. Okay, well, I think that is more likely to be a 5 than a 3, and 2 and 4 are pretty much nicely in proportion. They don't overlap. 3's the longest. It looks pretty typical. So I expect, I'm going to put some labels in here. And I don't think that's over yet. I think this is AB, because that A subdivides really nicely as a 5. So we have a 5 wave impulse down here, followed by a correction. Okay, it's a pretty big call, I guess, because the invalidation point's so close, but for the hourly chart, for the short term, if that's right, we shouldn't see movement above 448.35. So that's what my invalidation point's going to be. Let's bring that down. I think we're probably going to see just the end of that C wave before that little correction's over, before we move back down. So I'll bring over a curved arrow from that commentary box. And I'm going to make that a bit more obvious. So I am expecting a little bit of upwards movement, but not too much, if my analysis of that is right. So that's my hourly chart, that's ready for publication. And this target would now be, let's see how long that should take. This one took 55 hours. Oh, Fibonacci 55 hours exactly. How many days was that? 2, 3, 7 days. 1, 2, 3. Well, so we're probably going to see a few days away, so sometime maybe towards the end of a week, probably after my next analysis early next week. So that's my analysis for Apple. I'll just publish those charts, and that's again how I use motive wave and how I come up with a wave count. That's all for me.